Try it right now. Go ahead, tickle yourself under the arm, behind the knee, on the sole of your foot, wherever turns you into a giggling mess when someone else does it, and notice the deeply unsatisfying nothing that happens. You just sit there wiggling your own fingers, like a confused crab having a small existential crisis, feeling vaguely ridiculous, while your brain calmly watches you flail and goes, "Yeah, nice try, buddy. I already knew you were going to do that. I saw the whole script." And that right there is basically the funniest betrayal your own body has ever pulled on you, because your nervous system just stood there with its arms crossed, refusing to laugh at your own joke, like a heckler at your own comedy show, except the heckler is you, and the comedy show is also you, and somehow you're losing both roles at once. So why does this happen? Why can a total stranger's wiggling finger turn you into a screaming, snorting, tear-producing, possibly falling off the couch disaster, while your own identical wiggling finger does absolutely nothing except confirm that you are, in fact, sitting alone trying to tickle yourself like a deranged scientist, running an experiment on a lab rat that happens to be your own armpit, which, fun fact, is hilariously close to what actual scientists did. Because apparently, even trained neuroscientists got personally offended that they couldn't make themselves laugh either. So naturally, they built machines about it. The answer lives in a part of your brain called the cerebellum, which sounds like an overpriced Italian dessert, but is actually your body's full-time, never sleeping, slightly obsessive movement psychic. Every single time you move any part of your body, your cerebellum has already pre-ordered the entire sensation, like a backstage assistant handing you the script to a play you're about to perform. Except you wrote the play, you're directing the play, you're starring in the play, and you definitely already memorized every single line, including the dramatic pause. So when your hand sneaks over to tickle your own ribs, your brain has already calculated the whole event in advance. The pressure, the timing, the exact ticklish spot, the entire performance. Before your fingers even land, there is zero suspense. None. It's like watching a magician pull a rabbit out of a hat that you yourself stuffed the rabbit into 5 minutes earlier. You cannot be amazed by your own trick because you literally watched yourself glue the rabbit's ears on. Real laugh out loud. Kicking your legs, possibly knocking over a lamp. Tickling depends entirely on surprise and unpredictability. Your brain needs to panic slightly and go, "Wait, what is that? Who is touching me? Is this a snake? Is this a tiny invading spider army?" For that nervous electric jolt of laughter to actually fire. But your brain knows it's you. It always knows it's you. It is basically the strictest, most unimpressed bouncer in the world, standing at the door of your nervous system going, "ID please," and then immediately recognizing your own face and sighing, "Oh, it's just you again. Come on in. Nothing to see here," completely murdering the vibe before it even gets started, like a DJ stopping the music the second you walk onto the dance floor. Scientists actually prove this in the most gloriously nerdy way imaginable, by building an actual tickle robot, a mechanical arm specifically engineered in a laboratory to tickle human test subjects, which honestly might be the strangest sentence to ever appear on a grant application. Funding requested to build robot, purpose of robot, tickling, and somehow that got approved. In these experiments at University College London, researchers had people try to tickle themselves using a handheld stick connected to a robotic arm that tickled their other hand, and when the timing and movement were predictable, people felt basically nothing, total silence, crickets. But the moment researchers added a tiny random delay or shifted the angle just slightly, making it unpredictable, suddenly people started laughing and squirming, like the robot had personally insulted their mother. So it's not even about whether a human hand or a cold metal robot claw is doing the tickling. It is purely about whether your brain can see the punchline coming, and if your brain can predict it, it's basically a spoiler, and nobody, anywhere, in the history of comedy has ever laughed at a spoiler. You just go, "Yeah, I knew that already," and roll your eyes so hard you nearly sprain them. There's also a sneaky little system inside your brain called an efference copy, which is essentially your brain emailing itself every single time you move, like a tiny internal memo that says, "Heads up, I'm about to move this arm. Here is exactly what sensation to expect. Please mute accordingly." And the sensory part of your brain reads that memo and instantly turns the volume down, like muting a song you've already heard 900 times. This is also the exact reason you don't flinch in terror every time you touch your own face, or walk into your own bedroom, or scratch your own arm. Because your brain is constantly filtering out self-generated sensations, so you're not living in a permanent jump scare every time you exist. which honestly is doing you a massive favor. Imagine flinching every time your own hand brushed your own leg. You'd never survive a shower. You'd never survive putting on a shirt. You'd be the most jumpy person alive, purely because of your own skin. But tickling exploits the one tiny gap where unpredictability is the entire point. So the same system protecting you from constant sensory chaos is the exact system sabotaging your one-man tickle war against yourself. Now here's the part that gets genuinely wild, because there is a strange exception buried in all of this. Some research involving certain rare symptoms linked to schizophrenia, specifically disruptions in how the brain monitors its own actions, has found that some individuals in these cases can actually tickle themselves, because the internal prediction system, the one constantly whispering, this is you, relax, it's just you, isn't running the same way. So the brain ends up genuinely surprised by its own movements, almost like the spoiler alert system glitched out entirely, which means the same wiring difference that can make someone feel detached from their own thoughts or actions might also accidentally hand them the one secret power the rest of us will never have, the ability to genuinely surprise themselves, which is either the most bizarre superpower in human history or proof that the universe occasionally runs purely on chaotic comedic timing just to keep things interesting. There's also a fascinating evolutionary reason tickling exists at all, because it's not random. It specifically targets the most vulnerable parts of your body, your neck, your ribs, your armpits, the soles of your feet. Basically every single spot where an ancient predator could do maximum damage in minimum time. So scientists believe ticklish laughter evolved partly as an early defense reflex, training your body from a young age to instinctively flinch, curl up, and protect those exact zones, which means somewhere deep down, every single tickle fight you've ever lost is actually your body running invisible self-defense drills disguised as adorable giggling, your inner caveman screaming, protect the ribs, while you're just trying to enjoy a sleepover. It's also tied heavily to social bonding, especially in primates, where tickling and playful wrestling between parents and babies, or between close friends, strengthens trust, connection, and even establishes social hierarchy, functioning as one of nature's earliest forms of play, bonding, and gentle dominance testing, all wrapped into one ridiculous giggly package that somehow also explains why your dad used to chase you around the living room. This also explains why a total stranger tickling you feels deeply uncomfortable instead of hilarious, because the laughter response isn't purely physical. It's tangled up in trust and familiarity. Your brain isn't just asking, is this touch unpredictable? It's asking, do I trust the unpredictable creature currently attacking my ribs? And if the answer is no, you don't laugh. You go into immediate flight mode and start calculating exit routes. So next time you find yourself failing spectacularly at tickling your own feet alone in your room, like a mad scientist conducting forbidden experiments on yourself at midnight, just remember, you are not broken. You are not secretly unticklish. You are simply living with one of the most impressively paranoid security systems evolution has ever built, a brain that flatly refuses to be surprised by its own hands. Because real, unpredictable, slightly vulnerable surprise is the secret ingredient laughter actually runs on. And unfortunately, tragically, hilariously, your own hand will never, ever be a surprise to you again.